Are you ready to get energized? It is your host, John Tostenowski, here with another EG4 Electronics Power Hour. I have a special guest here today, Mr. Grayson Wing.
Yes, sir. Your boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
West Coast regional rep for EG4.
We got our boots on today.
We got our boots on today.
Yeah.
Love them, by the way. They're looking great.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you, sir. We also had the Michael Buffer impression.
Yes, Michael Buffer. Yep, the guy for the boxing
ring guy.
Yep, knew it as soon as you said it.
Yep, I'm doing my best.
You're doing great.
I'm doing my best to distract. You know, we have a fan club now that we've been doing the Power Hour. So we've got a fan club of folks that are very enamored with my the size of my teeth.
They love you.
I guess I have small teeth.
They love you. You know, whatever,
I don't know.
man.
Look, I've never had any dental work done except for, you know, teeth cleaning, and, you know, I had a cavity here and there, but
Can't fault
I guess
for that.
You know, I know I have this kind of bulldog underbite. You know, I know that. You know, because I got to look in the mirror every day.
Who gave you that?
It definitely comes from my dad's side.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't we have the fan take it out on your father then?
I know.
Why are they coming at you on this? Not even your fault.
Man,
not even your fault.
It's genetics. You know, I'm definitely. You know, I'm the one that's got to look at this mug every day when I wake up.
You know, that's fine. That's fine.
Right.
As long as you hold it to yourself, then we're good. You're not though.
I hold myself to it.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man.
So, GW, Grayson Wing, we've got an action-packed episode today.
I know. I'm excited, man. Thanks for having me on.
I'm really pumped. We've got a lot to talk about, one of which is EG4 is growing, so much so that we are reshaping our sales department. So in an effort to really, you know, kind of build a stronger, better, faster team, we are adding more salespeople, and kind of our sales team is very consultation driven. We're here to help distributors, installers, and end users, retail users alike. We're here to help them find the right solution for their home and help them make the transition to EG4 if that's something that fits their model. And we want it to fit your model if it fits for you, right?
We believe it fits everyone's model.
We believe it fits everyone's model.
I do.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, now with the way that solar is going, you have to have that battery attachment.
You do. You absolutely do.
So with that said, we're adding people to our team, and our customers should see an increased level of support. We're going to have some people in our company are actually moving to other parts of the country. Folks like yourself, you're going to take your years of knowledge and expertise and move it to some of our most important markets. So I know we'll see you a lot in like Hawaii, California, Washington, Oregon.
Yep. All up and down the West Coast, man.
All up and down the West Coast.
Yep.
So we're excited to have you out there.
Excited to get back out there. Been working with a lot of those guys out there and kind of helping them grow and adopt the brand.
Yep.
And like you just mentioned, popularity in EG4 has kind of gone through the roof, and having to restructure and kind of reset ourselves so we could best serve our customers.
100%.
And so excited to adapt, excited to evolve and take care of it all.
It's going to be good, yeah. And there's more people coming onto the team here to help those customers.
We are growing.
So you'll see us a lot more. You'll see our training trucks out there a lot more. They're going to be on the road. So if you're driving down the highway and you see the EG4 training truck, definitely give us a honk.
Please do.
And a big old thumbs up.
Yeah. Let us know you're there for us. You got our back.
That's right. That's right.
Unless we cut you off.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll address that.
I got the Western twang going today with this hat, man. It makes me feel different.
Yeah,
you know? There's been a lot in the news on solar. It's been crazy.
It has.
There's a lot of uncertainty with the political climate that we're in. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you know, I would say right, wrong, or indifferent, left, right, center. It doesn't really matter what aisle you sit on.
No, it doesn't.
We've seen that solar energy storage, the way that all of those things interact with the utility grid. All of it is really coming to a head right now with the political landscape, and a lot of the things that we're seeing on the news is stuff like tax credits. If you're deeply involved in the solar energy industry, there's a lot of uncertainty around tax credits, right?
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm hearing a lot. You know, solar traditionally is sold one of three ways. Am I wrong? Cash, loan, or third-party ownership.
Yep.
So with a tax credit and a homeowner buying in cash, obviously they get to receive that back at the end of the year and
Yep.
and apply that towards their taxes. That's great. We love to see it. But loan and third-party ownership, I'm a little foggy on what happens there with that tax credit specifically.
Yeah. So the tax credit, the federal tax credit, actually, just to give everyone kind of the history behind it, and that this is coming from my brain. So feel free to
Get scared, everybody. Get scared.
Yeah, get scared.
This is gonna be weird.
Do your own independent research. But to my knowledge, the federal ITC tax credit initially started as, I think, a 22% tax credit for solar energy, and it's since been expanded to other.
A few years back.
Yeah,
correct.
This was back in the Bush administration.
Okay, wow. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. So this is another good point. But Democrats and Republicans both agree that renewables are critically important to our infrastructure, our energy infrastructure. As a matter of fact, renewables are, and solar, being energy independent and having solar on your roof and having a battery on your own home is a matter of national security. It really is. And you might think this is crazy, but if the grid is the most strategically advantageous portion of our country for an outside enemy to attack. If they take our grid down and we lose all electricity across the United States, or any country for that matter, it would immediately take us back 100 years in time.
Oh, for sure.
Mass chaos would ensue. That sounds apocalyptic, and it is, but it's a reality. It is a matter of national security for you at home to be energy independent. It really is.
Well, yeah, I think our relationship with energy at this point is not what it once was.
Yep.
You know, we're a lot more reliant on that stuff. Lose your cell phone, what do? You know, your cell phone doesn't work.
You lose your mind.
Right. You know, and I hate to put it like that, but it's the little bitty simple things that I don't think everyone always sees or pays attention to, and they go, why do I need batteries? You know, I don't use that much power, or this, that, and the other. Everything we do every day is now become reliant upon this energy. So 100%. The fact that they have that in their pocket there, I don't think what you're saying is crazy at all. You know, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep, absolutely. And so going back to the tax credit thing, Democrats and Republicans agree it's strategically important to our infrastructure. So Bush administration came out with the ITC, the investment tax credit for renewables.
Okay.
That was then revamped with the Obama administration. And it was bumped up to, I believe, 26%. And at that point, essentially what they were saying is, now of course it's a 30% tax credit.
Right.
And that got changed in like 2022, 2023, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I remember that change. So ultimately what it is you buy solar and you pay cash for it. You are entitled to a 30% tax credit, which is 30% of the total system cost. So all of the soft costs are like permitting fees, AHJ, utility fees, and just different things that go into the project, all of the hard costs, and then all of the labor costs. Everything together, it's 30% of the total system cost. So just to keep numbers super simple, if your system costs $100,000, which is very expensive, right? That's
a massive
that's uncommon,
system, for
right?
sure.
You would essentially get a $30,000 tax credit. If it's $10,000, you would get a $3,000 tax credit. If it's $50,000, you would get a $15,000 tax credit, right? 30% of that system cost. That is a dollar for dollar reduction in your tax liability. If you purchase your solar or renewable energy system with a loan, then you will also get that same 30% tax credit.
Okay.
Where it gets tricky and wonky is with something called third-party ownership. Third-party ownership is, there's typically two forms of third-party ownership.
Okay.
One is what's called a power purchase agreement. That's an agreement to purchase power at a fixed rate for a predetermined amount of time,
Okay.
typically about 25 years. And then there's an equipment lease. That's basically the use of the equipment in and of itself. With third-party ownership, you as a homeowner or a business owner, if it's commercial PPA or lease, you don't own the equipment outright. You have an opportunity to take ownership of it, but typically the bank owns it.
Okay.
Because the bank owns it, there's different terms that they can work out to make it a little bit cheaper at upfront cost perspective for you. So the payments might be a little bit lower.
A little easier to step into.
Yeah,
it
a little bit
sounds
more
like
palatable.
in some situations.
Yep.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, what also makes it more palatable is the fact that they're assuming that tax credit, and they then sell that tax credit off to other companies that need a green or renewable energy tax credit. And so to give you a perfect example of what that looks like, car makers, auto manufacturers, there's something out there called the corporate average fuel economy. And that basically means that you have to, all of the cars that you make in your lineup have to achieve a certain number of miles per gallon.
Sure.
If you don't achieve that number of miles per gallon averaged, then you need to be able to do something to offset your carbon footprint. And buying these tax credits is the way that they do that. To wrap all this up, we're not here to predict the future, and we're definitely not saying that what we say is gospel, but what we've been hearing and what our senior leadership, our CEO and founder, James Showalter, has been involved in these conversations in DC, is that the solar tax credit, the ITC tax credit, and you being able to claim that is likely going to stay very much the same, but the ability to sell a lot of these tax credits off, that may be changing.
Okay.
And so there is some uncertainty. Ultimately, with that uncertainty, we here at EG4, and we were addressing this in this podcast, is we here at EG4, one way or another, whether the tax credit exists or it doesn't, we are dedicated to providing a solution that is not price gouging, that is high value, and good cost, right? So that you can still do solar, you can still get these resources for your home or your business, and whether or not the tax credit exists, it's still advantageous for you to go ahead and get solar and get batteries and be energy independent. We're dedicated to that, and I think what we will see is that if it stays the tax credit or if it goes, one way or another, the market is going to continue to drive towards innovation, which will further bring those costs down. Because we've already seen that with panels. Panel prices have come down. We're going to see that with battery prices, right?
We've seen it.
We've seen it. And even though tariffs are impacting the business, we here at EG4 also have a plan for that.
Absolutely, man. And that's a great subject to bring up there, because I think we're about to jump into that. So yeah, we had some changes come through almost overnight. It seemed like. Luckily, we were getting ready. We saw these tariffs kind of coming for the past few months now, and we are now in a position to mitigate some of these tariffs now.
Yep.
John, you wanna dive into that some?
Yeah. So tariffs are really creating a lot of uncertainty in the market.
Absolutely.
And the best thing that we can do as a company is just prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And to your point, we've been preparing for the worst. Our strategic response is really related to onshoring our manufacturing, right? So our FlexBoss 18 and our FlexBoss 21 are are being currently assembled.
Along with our 12,000 XP.
Along with our 12,000 XP? Okay, that I did not know, but
Yes,
that is
yes,
awesome.
I believe, yeah.
So we are making them, or we're assembling them about 30 minutes north of here. So we're, for those that don't know, we're located in Sulphur Springs, Texas. That's where we're shooting and filming
That's it.
from.
We're here.
It's our home.
It's home for us.
It's home. And it's a great community, and we've continued to invest in our communities and the surrounding Northeast Texas communities. And Commerce, Texas is where we, a couple of years ago, purchased a 300,000 square foot facility. And since then, we have revamped it and molded it into a 300,000 square foot manufacturing facility. And so we are assembling the Flex 18, Flex 21, and the 12,000 XP inverters at that Commerce, Texas facility. And then we will soon be transitioning to assembling more and more products there. And we have a defined roadmap for that. So we're hoping that in Q1, maybe a little bit sooner of 2026, we have a roadmap for other product assembly in that location.
Like possibly batteries, I hear.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yes, we absolutely have a plan. It sounds like for all of this. It's an exciting time because of how uncertain it is in the industry. But being able to answer some of these other installers, distributors, their questions with confidence that EG4 is doing what we're supposed to do to get to the place we want to be is huge for me. And it definitely adds to that, that feeling of you're in the right place, because we hear things like this. And so it is ever changing right now, but exciting. And, that's kind of what I'll say about the tariffs and how things are going. So.
Yeah. And we're not, I think actually, I don't want to overspeak, but I think like in terms of market share on the battery side, from what I understand, we're like number 2 in megawatt hours shipped on residential business.
Yes.
So we're number 2 in the market on the storage side, on the battery side, which is huge for us because we are still like considered by so many, even though we're pretty well established now, we're considered by so many to be the new kid on the block.
Yes.
Yeah. And we get that, and we'll get that for a while. We understand it, and we know that we'll get it for a while.
We're facing it with a smile, for sure.
We're happy about that. You know what? We are the new kids. You want to still call us that? We're fine with it. But we're gonna fight the industry head on to do what's right for the consumer, and to be able to make our products accessible to the DIY community, the retail community, and as well as the professional installer community.
Yes.
We're going to continue to do all of those things, regardless of the pushback that we may have gotten from competitors. Yep. We're going to fight.
Well, I think because we are that new kid on the block, we're allowed to look at it differently. Than everyone else has to change that opinion of what is traditional solar. That's been really, really exciting for me. Not to jump off of that, but something I just thought about when you were talking about residential space and everything. I hear we're sneaking into the commercial game with some of this.
Yes, yeah. I will ask for forgiveness later because most of what we're talking about here is pretty groundbreaking stuff. But I think it's safe to say that it's and our senior leaders have talked about it. We're investing in the commercial space. We already have a tried and true product on the 208 low leg 3-phase solution set. So what a lot of people may not know is that you can do a 208 3-phase system with pretty much any of our inverters, except with the exception of the off-grid stuff. But the 18K, the Flex 18, the Flex 21, it's a common use case for 208. But you have to do 3 inverters with that, one for each phase of a 3-phase system, right? And they have to be balanced. It's not a super complex install, but there's definitely ways that we can make it easier. And one of those ways is, well, let's just enter the commercial market. The commercial market is destined to be the largest segment of the solar and renewable industry, bar none. So we are seeking to make some really sweet announcements on some 208 product as well as some 480 product.
That's awesome.
Not going to give you any more information beyond that
Leave 'em
because we're excited to show everyone what it is, but we're gonna come through with the boxing gloves on. You know, we did the Michael Buffer thing earlier, and we're gonna come out swinging to the market to show people what we have in store to serve all segments of the solar industry.
Man, that's extremely exciting.
Yeah.
It's like I just said a second ago, that's just another statement to, we're in the right place, guys.
Yep.
It's a really, really cool company to be with. Something else, looking here on the next topic that I wanted to ask about anyway. I know I'm co-hosting and you are the host, but so stop me.
No, you're good.
So when we're talking about moving our production line over here, I know we briefly just touched on it a little bit. Where are we today in that roadmap to the end of the year to being at batteries, inverters, all of that assembled? Do we have kind of a step ladder that we're going into that? Or
yeah, I mean the goal is Q1 of 2026 or potentially even sooner to have that available to our customers.
Man, that's awesome.
Which is huge. And then to just kind of add to that, obviously to face things head on, we know that we had to make a price adjustment earlier this year. I want to make sure that everyone is aware, like, could the price go up again? Yes, it could. I'm going to be very honest about that. But with that said, we are fighting tooth and nail to keep the prices at where they are today. There could be some changes that are unexpected. But please, as the EG4 fan base, please know that we only do that out of absolute necessity. We only do it out of absolute necessity. We know how much cost and value proposition, as well as quality. So cost value proposition without sacrificing quality.
Right.
We know how important that is to our consumers. And we will only do those things when necessary, when absolutely necessary. And to that point, though, when that change was made, everyone else in the market seemingly also had a price increase. There are some people that may not have, but that just goes to show you they were probably gouging a little bit from the beginning.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll be very honest about that. We maintain a business model and a motto that is very focused towards driving value to the consumer. Absolutely. And not charging more than we absolutely need to.
Yep. No, I love it. I mean, it's like you're saying, it's not just about the low upfront cost. It's about product lifespan, about return on an investment.
Yep.
All of those things definitely come into play. Soft cost, yep. You were preaching on earlier. So awesome. So I know that we talked a little bit about the new commercial line stuff coming, but there's a lot of other changes and stuff happening in our current ecosystem. The monitoring app being one of those.
I'm probably the most excited about that.
Heck yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, I'm a technology guy. I'm an advocate and a user of EG4 as well too. I'm on the monitoring app every day, just for whether it's for my own system or for someone else's. But with that said, I know that we have an opportunity to get better.
Always.
Yeah, always. And what we have is great technology. I mean, there's no other tool on the market to my knowledge that has the amount of capability and flexibility in our monitoring software that we do. You can do, and we had an episode dedicated to this where you can do time of use, AC charge priority. You can do peak shaving for peak demand rates. You can do, a standard self-consumption mode is what comes out of the box. There's a lot of different things that you can do. For example, on my house there's no PV. There's no PV on my house.
Okay.
It's just batteries and two 18K inverters.
So not even solar.
I don't even have solar.
That's awesome.
I'm just arbitraging with the grid. So I'm charging at night when rates are low, and then I'm discharging during the day from my batteries when rates are high. So I still receive a utility bill, but it's not very much money at all.
Minimal.
It's minimal.
That's huge, man.
Yeah, and in the event of a power outage, more than likely my batteries have a good state of charge left, so I'm protected.
That's awesome.
Which is huge.
I'm sure the missus at home appreciates that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's great, man.
And so it works, right? What we have today works, but we are moving to a very sexy user interface that makes it a lot easier to use our monitoring station and our mobile app.
Okay.
And I think once we show everyone what that looks like, we're not there yet. We're in beta testing. I've seen it. It's hot. It's red hot.
That's awesome.
And it's gonna, I think it's really gonna change the user experience, and people are really gonna be excited with what they see. It's gonna be awesome.
And that's what's important, man. That's great. That's great. That excites me too. I know that's been a topic of discussion for a while. How do we make it even better?
Yep.
And so seeing that come through is great. It really is. So with the app, are they still going to be able to manage fleets and do everything that they do now with customization and everything will still be there?
For installers, if you're a professional installer and you've got multiple stations that you're managing for diagnostics and stuff like that, you're still going to have all that level of accessibility.
Man, that is great. And I know we will be throwing a YouTube video up on that once we get it complete. So
that's going to be job one, is to get it out there and let the world know when it's live. So, stay tuned for that. We're excited. We're excited.
That's great. We're definitely excited. I don't even know if excited is the word.
Yeah,
John. It's been a long time coming, and we're happy it's here.
That's right. That's right. Sure. It's got the hairs on my neck standing up, man.
I know it. Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Love it.
Well, we've got a really smart team at EG4. For the installers and distributors that have come to visit us, some of our beta testers. You have seen the talent that we have in this little town here in East Texas.
Yes.
We've got an incredible amount of talent here, and we are really dedicated to inventing what the future of the product lineup looks like. And so, like Naveen Tara,
so important.
Yeah, and the software team, they've been working on this stuff for a while to make sure it's right, and it's going to be cool.
It is. It's going to be really cool. I'm extremely excited about the future and what it all holds for us.
I know.
So
it's gonna be great, man. It's juicy stuff.
It is. I love it, man.
What's next for you on your plate? Where are you gonna be traveling to?
So I will be in California in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Gonna spend some time up in NorCal.
Okay.
Gonna meet with some partners that we have up there and some potential installers. Really starting to take hold in that market. And then the following week I'm gonna be down in SoCal.
Okay.
So gonna try and cover the whole state then. Shortly after that, I'll be up in the Pacific Northwest and looking to get back out to Hawaii soon, since it's getting hotter and everything. Get out there to Hawaii and get that work done, man. So huge market out there, very off-grid based. They're dealing with an energy crisis themselves.
Yeah.
Like so many are in the country right now. So giving them the option to get some reliability, sustainability away from the grid and not fall on that so hard is huge for a lot of people. Life-saving equipment, children who need certain care and different things like that. Those are the biggest and most impactful markets that we can be in.
Yeah, Hawaii is an interesting situation because, and just off grid, like the discussion of off grid in general, that used to be like a niche,
Yeah.
fringe corner of the
Yeah,
market.
almost taboo or something. Yeah.
Taboo, yeah. It started as off grid. That's how solar started. And then as solar expanded, it needed to move into this place where it was this grid tied solution. And that was what was attractive. And that was like kind of the cool part of the business. That's where all the cool kids were hanging out.
Sure.
And I guess kind of like the, grid tie solar is where the cool kids were hanging out. And then telling a joke here, but they kind of had like the goth kids in the corner. You know, like, and the goth kids in the corner were the DIY people.
Right.
And the off-grid people. But the reality is that off-grid in particular is now the cool kids.
Right.
Right. So it's almost like the mid-2000s emo scene where like that emo punk rock music was
grunge,
pop.
You know?
Yeah, 90s grunge where that became popular, right?
Heck yeah.
So they were the outcasts, and then all of a sudden they became popular.
Like, oh my God, these guys are genius. This is great. Why would we continue to do this?
I know. So,
I love the analogy.
Some crazy
there.
analogies.
I love it.
Basically, the goth kids are the cool kids now, and and we're seeing that. So you mentioned Hawaii. We're seeing that in Hawaii because the rate situation is so extreme there, it doesn't even make sense to do business with the utility.
Right.
It doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Same situation in California. Actually, we'll give a shout out to Steve at Potrero Energy.
Okay.
Steve Joseph. Steve, if you're watching, hello. You know, Steve reached out to me probably like a month ago and was like, hey, you know, Steve's like a very formal, professional level grid-tied solar installer.
Okay.
He starts asking me about our off-grid inverters. And he's like, you know what? I think we've got a business case for this stuff. It doesn't even make sense for some of our customers to do business with the grid.
If I had a quarter every time I've heard that, man.
Yeah.
I love seeing people catching on to that and starting to realize, wait, maybe I don't even have to play by the same rules as everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, so love hearing it. Didn't mean to cut you off in that.
No. I mean, if I start talking too much, you got to cut me off, man, because it's a two-way.
I'm the same way. This is going both ways.
So,
you're good.
So you know, the videos that, you know, obviously they air. I don't get the opportunity to look at what everyone's saying, right? Because you know, while we're here doing this, I'm, you know, can't really respond. But when I go back and I watch the videos, I'm like, oh man, I'm talking too much. So don't be afraid to cut me off.
Too. I will probably do myself a favor and just let the fans review this, and so I don't have to beat myself up the same way. So
we're willing to take harsh criticism.
That's it, man. We love it. We love it.
But yeah, I mean, you know, the off-grid stuff. You know, it might lead to the question of, why would you not just make off-grid inverters then? Well, different corners of the market have different needs, right? So
Absolutely.
Here in Texas, it still makes a lot of sense to exchange with the grid, right? Like it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So if you're in Texas,
situations like you just rolled out,
it makes a ton of sense to do business with the grid, like, and you should do that here. I would encourage it. In California, you know, in some instances it really does, but in other locations, you know, if it's like some smaller utilities out there, and that's, you know, what our friend Steve was talking to, is like some smaller utilities where it doesn't even make sense to do business with the grid, and that may be the solution. So that's why, like, under the EG4 product lineup, we have off-grid, we have hybrid inverter, grid-tied inverter. We have all of the colors of the rainbow.
Absolutely.
To fit your need.
So just to touch on that real quick, and I don't know how off topic we're getting here, but you said hybrid grid-tied inverter. But from my understanding, it doesn't necessarily have to be. And it can operate off of the grid without grid support. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. So our hybrid inverter lineup, and a hybrid inverter is basically the ability to use AC, right, as well as DC, PV, or battery current, all at one time. it's a true hybrid
Yes,
solution, right?
true
You can
hybrid
do,
solution.
you know, the AC coupled solar or the generator power or your grid power, which are AC sine wave, you know, forms of electrical generation, and then you have, you know, your DC power, which is typically going to come from your PV, so your solar panels or your battery. That's a hybrid inverter. Does all of those things at one time. A grid tie inverter can be like any form of like micros or a string inverter, right? But it's a type of inverter that also exchanges with the grid. So there's multiple names for all this stuff.
Sure. Yep.
What's unique about our stuff is that on both our off-grid and our grid tie inverters, you have the ability to connect to the grid. You also have the ability on both of them to not connect to the grid. So on our hybrid inverters, so our 12 kPV, 18 kPV, Flex 18, and Flex Boss 21, you can do them off-grid or grid tied. On our off-grid inverters, which is our 6000 XP and our 12,000 XP, you can do them off-grid or you can grid tie them. They just don't sell back or do business exchange with the grid. What that feature is called grid assist. So in essence, if you have a situation where you have a little bit more load demand, or you have a situation where you have, you know, a depleted state of charge, and you don't want your generator to kick on or whatever it is, you can pull from the grid. It's just not going to sell back to the grid on our 6000 XP or 12,000 XP. That feature is called grid assist, and that's why there is a grid terminal on the 6 and the 12,000 XP.
On off-grid inverters. Man,
on an off-grid inverter.
We really do pack value into every single package.
Yeah.
That's huge, man.
There's a lot of crazy stuff. I was going to say another word, and then I realized we're on camera.
Stuff.
There's a lot of crazy stuff that we have on our... yeah. And it's good stuff.
It is. It's the good stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
With that 12,000 XP, now does it take in AC loads as well with generator support?
Yeah, it does.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more or less a hybrid inverter that doesn't feed back.
100%.
Oh man.
And I'm not looking at the spec sheet now, so I don't want to say what size that port is, that breaker. I know on the Grid Boss it's 125 amp.
I believe 90.
I think it's a 90.
It's in between 90 and 125. We can say that with confidence.
You guys can look at the spec sheet. I forget.
Please do.
I talk about this stuff on a daily basis, but when I need to know the numbers, sometimes I forget them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You're not on camera then all the time either. So,
yeah, no, I know. I'm not sweating, you know, when I'm talking about it.
Right.
Now I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, Grayson, I mean, this is a lot of good stuff that we covered. I don't know what else is on your mind, man.
So many things, man. There's a lot of everything that we just talked about, man. With the tariffs and the changes and the new additions we've got coming to our line.
Yeah.
You know, the manufacturing and everything really coming home and actually being here in East Texas. You know, one thing you didn't mention is all of the jobs that we're creating out here. It's huge. I think they've got 100 or so people over at the Commerce Building already, and it's not even been up and running very long. So so a lot of waves that we're making. You know, I just want to shed some light on that you know, when we say things like changing the world and you know, we are actually doing that. And so it feels really good to be here. I'm not gonna toot EG4's horn too much more, but I just really want to make sure that point is hammered home to the fans at home. That we're doing this for a reason and we're really making changes.
For sure. You start changing the world one little step at a time, right? And I'm not trying to be like super prophetic or like philosophical, but the way that you start like to say like, oh, I'm going to go out and change the world. I think the things that like our senior leaders are doing, like obviously our founder and CEO, James, the entire team here, also, you know, our president, Troy, of the company, a lot of the people that we look to as senior leaders for guidance, they are working collectively with us to try and change the world, and we do that just by one little piece at a time.
That's it.
You can start to impact and change the world if you impact your community. So we are bringing jobs. We are jobs creators. We're bringing jobs to the U.S., and we're doing it in quite frankly, a rural East Texas town called Sulphur Springs, Texas, and Commerce, Texas, 2 separate towns.
Yes, sir.
And with that said, we're doing it in such a way that we're able to offer opportunities for the people that are here, and we're finding that there's no shortage of talent in these communities. We're also able to attract people to relocate to a place like Commerce, Texas, or Sulphur Springs, Texas, where, quite frankly, the quality of life is significantly higher because of multitude of factors: cost of living, the different, the systems and the community that we have here. We're able to bring a lot of value to people that may not be from the area. So I'm not the leader of the HR team here, or the director of HR or anything, but I would say, keep an eye out, because we are looking for highly talented people to come and join these teams.
Absolutely, man. That's a great point. And, it just goes back to all the excitement and the growth and everything that we're doing here and what we're trying to do the world. So yeah, great point, man.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
It is. It is.
Well, any last words?
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
I was really excited to get on here. They said something to me last week about it, so I was fired up for another shot at jumping on Power Hour with you guys. And if you ever need me to come back, I'm always happy to.
Oh man, we're pumped. I definitely want to have you back. For those of you that don't know, GW, I always call him GW. Grayson Wing is a good friend of mine, as well as a trusted colleague. So that's a 2-for-1.
Appreciate those words, man.
When you get a good colleague and coworker, and then a trusted friend in the same package, and you get to see your friends every day at work, that makes it a great place to come to work. So
it does, for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We encourage you to power more with EG4, and we stand for true whole home backup.
Like and subscribe.